This session we'll look at decision making and problem solving skills. Alright, so our outline will be first understanding the rationale for problem solving, then the problem solving steps, and also practice how to solve a problem. Alright, so why should a problem be solved? So sometimes problem can feel so big and overwhelming. Others can even seem to be so impossible to solve, leading to feelings of frustrations, stress, sadness, or hopelessness. Okay, so this problem solving helps in the following ways. It gives us some control over the problem and also increases our self-esteem. Once we solve a particular problem, we'll be confident enough to have that increased self-esteem. We'll be able to value ourselves in that rationale. Then when you're dealing with problem solving steps, the first thing is to identify the problem that a client wants to change. So you can ask a client, what problem would you like me to help you solve? Then check with the client, that's the next step. Check with the client the problem solving rules. Is it something you can work on? Is it something in your control? Is it something you can see or hear? Or is it something you want to work on solving? So the third thing is identify the goal that they would wish to accomplish. So you can ask the client, what do you hope to accomplish at the end of the day after you solve this particular problem? So that is the question you can ask. What would you like to happen if you solve this particular problem? Then the other step which you must follow, it is to evaluate the goal. So there is a mnemonic which is SMART. S for just specific is the problem specific. So you need to know the specific problem that a client wants to solve. Then the next one is measurable. Is this problem too big for it to be solved, or is it manageable? Then the other thing is achievable or attainable. Some problems are just unrealistic, so you need to check with the client if they are in their power or if they are not too big for them to be solved. Then realistic, so the problem has to be there and not something which is just fictional. Then time bound, how long is it going to take for that problem to be solved? Okay, so the other thing is get a list of all possible solutions to the problem. So you can tell or ask rather the client to tell you all the ideas you have they have rather for a solution to solve that particular problem. Then the other thing is just to evaluate each solution. So you need to consider both the positive things or the positive outcomes and the negative effects. So now you can now help the client to choose the best solution. Don't tell the client that this is the solution for this particular problem, but allow them to work out, because each and every client has their particular answer to that particular problem. So they're just there and they've just come to you to help them figure out what will be the best solution, and they already know the answer. So your job or your duty is not to tell them the solution, the best solution, but to let them work out the best solution. So you can tell them to break the solutions into smaller manageable activities. So steps that would lead to solving the solution. So now the role play some of the role play some of the steps with the client, so you can show them how you certain roles, or you can put yourself in that particular way. Then you tell them to follow some steps on how they can solve a particular problem. Then identify and anticipate obstacles. Of course, when solving problems, there will be obstacles, barriers that are going to arise. So they need to be aware of those obstacles. So this is where we end with problem solving skills. Thank you for watching.